Hello, it's Wednesday. We have just a couple more weeks left of the book study. I'm going to try and make this one quick. I have a call at 2. I'm really hoping to be on, but I'll probably be late. It's totally fine. But I went this morning, got some work done. I usually don't leave my house, so getting up today, getting ready, leaving, it was like kind of refreshing. So anyway, I'm home. I have Ezra down for his nap, so hopefully this goes better than some of the previous ones where we've had a visitor. So this week in our book study, we are on chapter 9. So if you've been following along, let me know below because I get new crowds every week. But we're on this book, 5 Things Successful People Do Before 8 a.m., and we are on chapter 9. So each week I cover a chapter, and it's just been really refreshing to kind of get everything, like just go through it and learn again. Like I've read this book once, this is my second time going through it, and I said this before, but every time I go through it, I just learn something new. So this week we are talking about we're on chapter 8. We're learning about unsuccessful habits. And so she goes through 10 unsuccessful habits that people do, and she lays them out. And I know it kind of focuses on the negative, but it's just a chance to realize what you're doing and change your course of action. Like if these are things you're doing, like recognize it, turn away, stop doing them, and start incorporating some successful habits. So I'll get right in. It starts with this quote, which I love it. It says, "Good habits are hard to form, but easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to form, but hard to live with." And so again, like we talk about habits of unsuccessful people, and it can be easy to get discouraged, but use it as motivation and get determined to create better habits. She says in here, you can reinvent your life by making a few small changes in your daily routine. And this is what this book is about, is making small changes in your daily routine and using it to form better habits and to move forward and reach towards your goals. It's not like a total 180 and doing everything all at once, because you will get burnt out doing that. But making those small changes and doing little steps each day or each week or each month to reach your goals. So we're going to just dive right in. 10 things unsuccessful people do. The first one she recognizes is they complain. It says complaining convinces other people that you are not in control. So you are not, if you're complaining like, oh, I don't like that this happened or that happened, then you're admitting like, I'm not in control of my life. I'm letting all my circumstances around me control me. And that's not what people who are successful do. They recognize they are in control, they can make the decisions, and then they turn it around and they make a change. She says, don't complain about something you don't have a vision to change. You settled there. So if you are complaining about something, you have to recognize that's where you settled. You allowed yourself to get in this position, and so you need to be the one changing it. If you're not planning on changing it, then don't complain about it. She says you get what you focus on. The more you complain, the more you'll find to complain about. And she gives this example, which I love it because it's so relevant, like the slug bug or the red or yellow blue car. When you're a kid and you're in the car, you play those games. And the object, obviously, if you played it, is to find the car, the yellow car, the slug bug, whatever it is that you've played, is to find that, and then you punch the other person. So she's saying with complaining it's the same way. When you complain about something, that's what you're focusing on. So when you start complaining like, oh, my headache is just not going away, or, oh, I just can't seem to, lose this weight, or I just can't seem to save money, then everything else you're going to focus on that. You're going to find all of the little things in your life that you can complain about. So instead of doing that, let's flip it and say, like, I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to find all of the good things, like, wow, it didn't rain this morning and it said it was supposed to, or, oh, the sun has been shining, the weather's been perfect, I've been able to spend time outdoors. Like, focus on all of those little things instead of all of the negative things. She says, complaining magnifies the negative in your life so much that it crowds out the potential for you to see anything else. The choice is up to us. Every word we speak has an outcome. Are your words taking you closer to or further from your goals? And it says, when you complain, you remain. And so it's saying, like, when you complain about your life, your circumstances, you're going to remain there because you're just going to see all the negative things and you're not going to move yourself forward. She gives the example, if you've been following along, this is a Christian author, so she uses biblical examples very often. But she talks about the Israelites. And the Israelites, they were sent into the wilderness and they weren't supposed to be there for 40 years, but they complained. And what did God do? He punished them for their complaining. And instead of just being them there that short amount of time, they were stuck there for 40 years. Imagine your complaint keeping you in your circumstance right now for 40 years. Does anybody want that? I know I don't. I know I want to grow. I want to be successful. I have goals that I'm working towards. And I don't want my complaining to stop me for 40 years from getting there. So number 2, they are always late. So unsuccessful people are always late. This one is a hard one for me because my husband and I always joke that we are always late. I don't know, I didn't check her resources, her facts, or anything like that. But personally, I actually saw an article that said the opposite because successful people are so focused on what they are accomplishing right now that they get caught up and lose track of time. So I don't know which one's right, which one's wrong, but this is what she says in her book. And her point is that being late makes you unreliable and sends the message that when you are tardy, whatever you're doing that makes you tardy is more important than the person you're meeting or the thing that you are going into. She says it reflects poorly on your integrity. And while I do think that's true, I also think that, again, I saw an article, years ago. I think it was probably 4 years ago. So it was after this book was written that said, you are so focused on your goals, you are so driven that you get caught up in time and you lose track of time. And so successful people, intelligent people are late. So take that as you want. I'm just going to gloss over this one because I think there's some controversy there. But feel free to do your research and fact check it yourself. Number 3, they blame others. They have the victim mentality, is what she says. It says you're always pointing the finger at someone else for where you are. Like, oh, it's so-and-so's fault that, I can't save money. It's my, husband's fault or my child's fault or my family's fault because they didn't teach me how to save my money. Like, you're always blaming somebody else for your circumstances instead of fessing up and being like, you know what, it's me. Like, I'm the problem here and I need to change my course of action. On page 164, she says, blaming others solves nothing. Every choice has a consequence, whether it's good or bad. So realizing that and acknowledging it is the first step in solving it. Because if you don't see your faults, you're not going to be able to change where you are because you don't recognize it. And so I think that is your first step. That's your first step with anything. People say with like addictions, that's your first step. If you don't recognize that you have an addiction, that you have a problem, you're not going to be able to resolve it. It gives this quote in here that it says Zig Ziglar heard a quote that said, you are where you are because that's exactly where you choose to be. And so taking that into consideration, like, am I choosing to be here? Well, if you're not doing anything to change it, then yes, you absolutely are choosing to be there because you're not choosing to change. If we can't accept the blame for where we are in life, we place ourselves in the passenger seat of our own destiny. It says that on page 165 if you follow along in the book. So we are in charge of our destiny, but when we complain and we can't accept where we are, then we put ourselves in the passenger seat and we let other circumstances, other people dictate where we're going. Number 4, they waste money. It says, if you have no idea where your money is going, then that's a problem. You have to be accountable for where your dollars are being spent. If your money is burning a hole in your pocket and you can't seem to hold on to any of it, then that's a problem. You have to know where your money's going and you have to not waste your money. You have to be putting it aside for other investments, for other resources, things that are going to move you forward in life, and not just spend every time you have $1 in the bank. It says they tend to live in the moment and not plan for the future. So, this, going out to eat with my friends sounds really fun right now. I might not have the money for it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to make it work. Well, you could say no, or you could go and say, you know what, I'm going to come and I'm going to have fun and enjoy life with you. But I don't think this isn't really in my budget this month, so I'm just going to sit and have water or something like that. Just do something small, go out with them, but you have to limit yourself or set yourself on a budget. Like I've heard people who say, I give myself a cash allowance. So each week or each month, whatever it is, I give myself, $50 or $100. And when that cash is gone, I'm done for the month. Like I can't go out, I can't splurge anymore because I've set that limit and I need to be accountable for where my money is going. And it gives this example. Eating out can be the biggest drain on our finances and puts it really into perspective. If you spend $10 a day on food 4 days a week, you are spending over $2,000 a year on something you'll never enjoy again. So it's temporarily, like you get that satisfaction, like, oh, that was so good. That meal was so good. But you get it once and you're done. And that $2,000 or more at the end of the year, where could you have spent that instead? It says, unsuccessful people have no financial goals. They spend and spend and spend instead of aiming for a financial target, goal, or vision. So if you're looking at yourself and you're saying, I would really like to buy this thing, whatever it is, a new car, or I'd really like this, new appliance or this new phone or laptop, whatever it is, but you're spending all this money, $10, 4 days a week on food. At the end of the month, or the end of the year, you could have bought that if you saved all that money. Instead, you're not planning for that. You're saying, oh, I really want this, but yet you're still spending and spending, and you're not setting yourself up for success in the future. Number 5, the 5th habit, they surround themselves with unsuccessful people. On page 167, it says, you become like those with whom you spend the most time. Our behaviors, our insecurities, and fears are contagious, but so is confidence and courage. So who are you spending the most time with? If you look at your inner circle and you look at your 5 closest friends or your family members or whoever you spend that time with, are they encouraging you? Are they stretching you? Are they inspiring you? Or do they complain, talk negatively, and drain you? Like, are they just draining your energy, and so when you leave, you're just like, oh, I need a vacation or something because you're just so drained? Are they driven? Are they pushing you to your next goal? Or are they just settled where they are in a job that they hate, in the financial situation they're in, and they're not striving to get better? Look for those things and then change your circle. If your circle is not driven, if they're not pushing you, encouraging you, then go find a new group of friends. And it's hard. You don't want to break that friendship, and you can still be friends with them. But don't make those the center of your people. You need people that are going to push you to be better. Number 6, they watch a lot of TV. It says, life is meant to be lived, not watched. If we talked about this in a previous chapter, we kind of touched it briefly, but it talks about if you just take 20 minutes of TV time out of your day, you would gain 20 minutes a day doing personal development. And at the end of the year, you'd have so much more time and you would have invested in yourself and you'd be further along in your life. But I said before that my husband and I, at the end of the night, we like to wind down by watching an episode of something. And sometimes it's a 45-minute episode, sometimes it's a 20-minute episode, but it's our wind down time. And since reading this book last year, I noticed that on weekends, we can just get drawn into a show. We'll just binge watch it. And we've cut that time down significantly. And on weekends, I focus more on my work. I focus on my personal development and doing the things I didn't get to during the week. I do it Saturday mornings. And then if I have time Saturday night, then maybe we'll watch something. But we've cut it down significantly. And so I've spent so much more time. Last night, I got home late, I had phone calls, and I didn't even get in bed till 11 o'clock. I was tired, I was ready for bed. We didn't turn the TV on at all last night. So if you really are diligent in checking your time and saying, where's my time being spent? You'll recognize it. If you're actively looking for it, it's like the complaint. If you're looking for your complaints, you're going to find them. If you're looking for where you're spending your time, you're going to recognize where it is being watched. So she's not saying that you can't watch television. She's just saying watch how much of it you watch and be conscious of it, and then choose to do other things instead of spending 5 hours in front of the TV. Because she says an average of 5 hours a day is spent watching TV or on electronics. That is 1,700 hours a year. And if the average person lives 78 years, then that's 15 years of their life they're spending in front of the TV. When you put in that perspective, you've lost 15 years of your life by spending 5 hours in front of the TV a day. It kind of changes your perspective, and you're like, I need to change. I can't spend 15 years of my life just watching other people do the things they want to do. I want to do things, and so I'm going to go and do them. It says this quote from Richard Branson: time is more valuable than money itself. And that's on page 170. So again, if you're following along, I'll give you the page numbers. You can look them up, or you can follow along in your book and see where we're at. Okay, number 7, they don't take care of their health. So last week was all about exercise and incorporating that into your daily habit. So she's saying this one is all like number 7, they don't take care of their health. It says 76% of the wealthiest people exercise at least 4 days a week. And then it says what we do habitually each day is either promoting our health or destroying it. So every decision you make every single day, you're either promoting your health or you're destroying it. Which one are you focusing on? Are you exercising? Are you drinking water? Are you eating healthy? Are you doing the things that are promoting good health that are going to keep you from having all of these health issues in the future? Or are you just destroying your health? So when you get to 40, 50, 60 years old, you're on all this medication, all of these multivitamins, all of these things to make your health better because you neglected it early on in life. And I put on here, remember, you don't need to start big. Small, subtle changes over a long period of time will be more effective. The key is sustainability. So again, watch last week's book study if you haven't watched it already. We talk about sustainability and creating those small habits that are going to change, so that way you don't feel overwhelmed. Like, the saying, like drinking from a fire hydrant. Like, you don't want that to happen because you'll get burnt out easily. So small, subtle changes and build it up over time is going to keep you consistent. Number 8, they gossip. It says, don't be so busy talking about other people's lives that you miss out on your own. That's on page 172. And I love that. Like, if we're focusing on what other people are doing, then we're not doing what we need to be doing. We're focused on them, not us. And our focus, not selfishly, but it should be on us. It should be on making our dreams and our success more prominent than other people's. Focus on what you should be doing to achieve your goals and dreams instead of what everyone else is doing. It has this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, and when I first read this, I remember I posted it on social media because it just was so good. It says, big minds talk about ideas, average minds talk about events, and small minds talk about people. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about ideas, about things that you have, places you want to go? Are you talking about events, like past events, or things that you want to go to that other people are hosting for you? Or are you talking about people? Because that's going to determine where you're going. It says, the successful person says, I'm too busy watering my own grass to notice if yours is greener. We should be doing that, right? We should be focusing so much on ourselves that we don't check the other people around us, that we forget to check in on other people. Now, it is important to do that, but I think the concept here is be so focused on yourself that you don't really know what, your neighbor down the street is doing because you're not focusing on it. You don't care about it as much as you care about your own well-being. It says, stay in your lane, focus on your dreams and your goals, and don't concern yourself with what everyone else is doing. God will hold us accountable for what we are called to do. That should be our ultimate motivation. If he called us, if he put a dream in our heart and he wants us to go for it, that should be enough motivation for us to stand up and say, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to worry about who's behind me and who's catching up to me and what they're all doing, because I'm so driven because God put this in my heart and I need to honor and glorify him with everything I say and everything I do. And I think that motivation is just so strong sometimes that we just forget what's going on around us because we just have this desire. We just want to go for it. We're ready to go. We're on the road, like God's driving us, and we don't really care what everyone else is thinking or doing. Number 9, they procrastinate. It says, you don't get paid for your thoughts and plans. You only get paid for your results. Again, you have to put what you learn into action. You have to make sustainable habits. You have to do those things. You can't just sit and wait for things to come to you. It is your driving factor. You have to be the one in the driver's seat, not in the passenger seat, letting your circumstances dictate where you are. You have to be the one doing the work. It says, focus on your future self rather than your current condition. Whatever you want to do it now. There are only so many tomorrows. So in the book, I skipped over a lot of it, but if you read it, it goes more in depth about so many tomorrows and, living your life right now and focusing on your future and the steps you have to take to get there. Number 10, this is the final one. It says they quit. It says only 8% of people achieve their New Year's resolution. 8% of people achieve their New Year's. So you're talking, there are 92, I'm terrible at math, so if that's not right, just let me know. 92% of people who are quitting, and it says most of them quit before February. So they don't even give their dreams, their goals, desires 30 days. They just hop out, and only 8% actually achieve what they had set out to do at the beginning of the year. In the company I work for, a lot of the trainings, they talk about the only way you won't succeed is if you quit. So if we quit, like these 92% of people do on their New Year's resolution, we're never going to achieve what we set out to do. We're never going to have that success because we stopped. You will be more successful if you keep going, even if it takes longer than you anticipated. It says on page 177, obstacles are the very things that strengthen us to handle success when it comes. Without obstacles, we can't handle that success because we haven't learned. You have to have that experience, that knowledge to get to where you are. It doesn't just happen miraculously. Resistance prepares you, strengthens you, and enables you to go to the next level. And I love that because resistance prepares you, strengthens you, and enables you. So that resistance, that roadblock that you have right now that you're trying to push through, it is preparing you and strengthening you to get you to that next level. Whatever that next level is for you, whether it's a promotion or a rank or anything you're achieving, that next weight loss goal, whatever, like this resistance is preparing you. So embrace it and love it and get through it because you will if you keep pushing, but not if you quit. She gives some excuses that quitters will say, and it says it wasn't their goal to begin with. So maybe, like for me, like my parents, my mom, she had said she wanted me to go to college. She wanted me to get my bachelor's degree. She had always dreamed of doing it. And she had me and my sister when we were young. We were 13 months apart. And so she never actually went back to college. And she's always like, I want you girls to have a better life than I had. And I started college. I did a year. And I dropped out. It wasn't for me. It wasn't my dream. It wasn't my goal. It wasn't my desire. It was hers. And so I wasn't driven to finish it. And this is saying, like, if it wasn't your goal to begin with, like, you're not going to be driven to do it. But if it is your goal and you quit anyway, then that's just an excuse because you didn't get to where you wanted to go. So you're just giving yourself an excuse and out and saying, well, yeah, I didn't really love that, or I didn't really want to. But you did. So you have to determine, is this something I want or is this something that someone else wants for me? And if it's not what you want, then you have to change course. You have to go a different direction because you're not going to be able to do it if you're not motivated to do it. Number 2 of an excuse that a quitter makes is it's taking too long. Nothing worthwhile comes easy. And I say this, I had it as a note for the next one. But it's taking too long. Nothing worthwhile comes easy. You have to put in time. You have to be diligent. You have to just be patient with it. And eventually it'll come. It might not be when you want, but that's, again, going back to the resistance. Like the resistance is strengthening us. It's preparing us. And we have to just go through the journey to get to where we want to go. The third one, it's too hard. Life is hard. Nothing's going to come easy that is worthwhile. And so we have to put in the time and be diligent and really pray and consider, is this what God wants us to do? Because it's not going to be easy, but if we lean on Him, He's going to give us the strength that we need to pursue the passions He has put in our heart. So at the end, she gives just like a little follow-up, and she talks about how this could be discouraging, and you could be, again, drinking from a fire hydrant and just thinking like, this is so much to focus on. I do so many of these terrible habits that unsuccessful people do, but don't focus on that. Focus on the positives. Every small step in the right direction is progress. It's progress, not perfection, okay? You don't have to get it right the first time. Just take it slowly and think, okay, this habit is probably the one I do the most, this bad habit. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to replace it with something positive, something better. And then when you work on that, say, okay, now I'm going to work on this one. And again, it's those little small steps that are going to get you to where you want to go. Don't be overwhelmed. Habits that took you years to build won't change in a few days or weeks. So be gentle with yourself. Give yourself that grace. But also be strict enough to say, I'm going to stop doing these. Because if you aren't strict with yourself, if you don't set that boundary of, I have to stop doing this, then you're going to continue it. You have to acknowledge it and you have to move past it. So that's all of chapter 8 that I have. Hopefully it wasn't too much overwhelming. Hopefully you don't feel discouraged, because I don't want you to. I want you to be encouraged of things that you can work on to help build your success. So next week is chapter 9. It is the secret to self-motivation. So we will cover that next week. And I thanks so much for joining me. And I hope that this was encouraging. If you have any questions or thoughts, or you want to jump in, if you haven't read the book yet, grab it, because we're going to finish it in the next couple weeks. And I'd love to hear your thoughts if you read it by yourself. So have a great day.